Hello and welcome to the Brick Cave Media Podcast. My name is Sharon Skinner. I'm the author of Return to Honoria from Brick Cave Books, as well as my latest books, Lost and Found and Blood from a Rose. You can get them now, in time for Christmas. The Brick Cave Podcast is brought to you by the BC Book Club, Brick Cave Media's community portal for readers that love Brick Cave books and authors. You can join today and be a part of the Brick Cave story at Brick Cave Media's website, brickcave.media.
And my name is Bruce Davis. I'm author of the imminently forthcoming Silver Magic, also from Brick Cave Books. And we're here tonight in the Brick Cave studio at the Brick Cave office right here in beautiful downtown Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah.
So, how you been?
I've been good. We just had Thanksgiving, so we all, I'm sure, overate, which, that's kind of the standard for
what
me.
it's for.
Isn't that it, right? Just like, what else would you do for that holiday, right? Well, except for maybe play a little World of Warcraft, which is...
Yeah, I've heard about that.
A little online gaming, a little reading, a little more eating, a little more online gaming, more eating, yeah. Yeah, I had a good decompression weekend. That's what I go for Thanksgiving these days.
Oh, good.
How about you?
I had a lovely Thanksgiving dinner at my oldest son's house and went into a food coma and didn't awake until Sunday.
Nice. Another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat.
Exactly.
Yes, all right. So we were both also recently at
TusCon.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
What did you do down there?
Well, let's see. I did a couple of panels and I did a presentation. So I did a talk, which when I do a presentation, a solo presentation at TusCon, it's really more of a conversation. I don't like to do solo presentations. This is kind of not my thing down there because it's much more of an intimate audience, and so I like to have a conversation. And we talked about how to make characters accessible, if not likable. Right. So that was
a good talk.
I thought it was a good talk. I liked your talk. I liked your presentation. What could go wrong?
Well, I did that, which basically was talking about all of the things that will get you into the trauma unit in daily life, not the things that we tend to worry about, actually, but things that we probably should worry about.
You mean like tripping and falling over the cat?
Tripping and falling over your own feet or the cat.
Or the cat, yeah.
Yes.
Or the water that the cat dumped down the
Which
bowl.
account for almost half of our admissions, by the way.
Yeah.
I was on a very affecting panel the first night on writing about PTSD and PTSD in writing and in real life and the differences in how it's portrayed sometimes in the media. And we actually had people who know whereof they speak.
Yeah.
Wes Oakes was there, and Wes has some very deep experiences with that. The other gentleman that was there was actually a counselor who deals with not so much veteran PTSD, but PTSD in children who have grown up in violent situations. And there were a lot of very cogent, interesting points made. I hope it was helpful to people who want to write the real deal. And then we had what I'd actually pitched as a solo presentation, how to read a scientific study, with a number of panelists, all of whom had at least some background in the sciences and in reading science. So that was also an interesting take on things. So
Yeah.
some fun panels. I enjoyed your talk particularly. Can't say there were others that were super memorable. I threw a few bombs here and there, which is my kind of thing to do. Just asking people to question their assumptions about certain issues. So.
Yeah, I was on a panel where I was questioning the assumption of the panel, so I found that to be very interesting and also enjoyable. So
Yes, every once in a while you got to stir the pot.
Yeah, there were a couple of panels. So there was at least one panel that I had actually pitched, but didn't get put on. That was interesting too. So I did go and I did, hang out and hear other people talk because that's always very interesting. But And then we had a book signing. We had a little book signing.
That
Sold
was
a
nice.
few books.
Yes.
Yeah.
Went to a party for upcoming CocoCon.
Right, because you're the guest of
And
honor.
because I will be the local author guest of honor at CocoCon this spring. But I got to sample some truly amazing cordials and liqueurs.
Nice.
And fortunately, all I had to do was make it to the elevator and get back up to my room afterwards.
Yeah, I wasn't drinking this time at TusCon. I was avoiding anything where I could where they'd put alcohol within my reach, because I just got back from traveling. So I was in New York for 4 days, and then I was in Kentucky for 5 days. And in New York, I was with a bunch of writers, and in Kentucky, I was with a bunch of grant professionals, and we know how to decompress.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just didn't really want to pick up another glass of alcohol because it's just kind of, I do it now and then. I just don't do it all the time. I will say, though, that I did have a lovely dry cider for Thanksgiving, compliments of a relative of mine. So,
good.
Yeah, homemade stuff. So,
Yeah, that's what we had at our dinner, too. It was truly amazing, as always.
Yeah. So, any other highlights from TusCon that you could think of?
Just I had a lot of fun meeting and talking to people that I don't get to see except there.
Yeah.
I really enjoy spending some time with,
I got a chance to do that
authors
too.
that, we don't see all the time.
Well, and I hadn't been there for a while because I was traveling the last. Well, first we had COVID, and then so we didn't have anything, and then I think that I was also traveling a couple of years, so it's been kind of hit and miss for me. So it was nice to be back.
Right. And so it's one of my favorite little cons to go to. It just always feels kind of homey and comfy.
Yeah, and lots of familiar people and
Yeah.
people that we can catch up with. I do like that. Yeah. So, how about a reading update?
Oh, nothing of any weight.
Oh, goody. What have you been reading?
A lot of detective thriller type fiction. I finished the Madness in the Ruins that I was reading before. Let me get the author up here because I can never remember the man's name, and I should because I'm enjoying his books. John Cannell. And I'm now in Haven for Vipers. These are stories of a military police detective in post-war Germany, immediately after the surrender. So everything's in ruins and there's no government, essentially. And he's trying to track down people who do evil things.
Nice.
So it's an interesting, it's historical fiction, but it's also a, very well-grounded police procedural type book. I'm also reading A Distant Echo by Val Kitteman, which has been made into a BBC TV show, Karen Peary, which is currently making the rounds on BritBox and the streaming services. And it's an interesting procedural that takes place in two different time frames, one in the late 90s and the other current, all around the same cold case. So you kind of get both.
Kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, seesaw back and forth between the two investigations and try to figure out who did it.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's well written. It's set in St. Andrews, Scotland, on the Firth of Forth. I've always loved that name, the Forth River, and it's lots of very local dialect and local, lore that is also quite interesting. So, yeah, but it's not heavyweight reading by any stretch of the imagination.
I haven't been reading anything that's all that heavyweight either. I read A Spindle Splintered by Alex Harrow, which is a novelette. So that's a thing. So apparently, between short story and novella now.